Hello and welcome. I'm joined by Ray Wang, head of Constellation Research. Ray, thank you very much for speaking with us. So, we're talking about the future and the digital future more specifically, and what that means to companies, corporations, services companies, and so on. But I think the challenge seems to be that a lot of people are changing, but incrementally, where what's happening out there is really big disruption. Tell us more about it.
This is a great point. We're in the middle of digital disruption, right? The number one player is twice as big as number two and number three in every customer segment, right? The number one, number two, number three player in every market segment is driving 40 to 70% of the market share, 40 to 70% of the profits. This is a winner-take-all market. Now the problem is most companies don't realize that this is happening and this is a big shift. So when we looked at the data around the Fortune 500, we saw 52% of the Fortune 500 have been merged, acquired, gone bankrupt, completely off the list since 2000. Massive change, as you were talking about.
Okay, so what does this mean? So, I mean, when you say that there are some companies who are obviously holding large market shares, is it something that's specific to some kinds of industries, or is it more broader?
Great question. This is an impact across the board in every industry. This is, even if you're in an old analog industrial business, if you're just building engines or engine manufacturing, to digital businesses in the high-tech world, we're seeing the digitalization happen. By putting sensors, analytic ecosystems on things like a jet engine, you're suddenly now a data company, you're suddenly now in the digital business. You're changing the way you're selling. Right? You don't just sell a jet engine anymore, you're selling uptime and reliability on engine time, which is very, very different.
So what's changing here, and how do companies prepare themselves for it, or how do organizations step up to this challenge?
Well, you were right earlier. This is about a transformational innovation that has to occur. This is not just an incremental change. Six Sigma is not even going to come close to getting it here. This is massive disruption. So the first part is really to realize your business model has to shift, right? And when we think about that business model shift, that is really about what do you change? Right? It's not about just moving the needle, right? This is about taking unit costs, figuring out what the lowest margin, lowest market model you can sell at, and also taking transactional costs out of the system. You're getting rid of all the middlemen, you're getting rid of the friction, you're driving the ability to go direct to a customer.
So who are the kind of companies, I mean, give us some examples of companies who've managed to move with times, and perhaps maybe some examples of those who didn't.
Well, we see some great examples. I mean, we see what's going on, for example, at GE. Right? GE, we showed an example today talking about how they can actually predict when a power line will go down between 8 to 10 days. Right? They're responsible for uptime for energy production. Right? So looking at humidity, wind speed, looking at temperature, looking at tensile strength, they can see in vibrations that this power line is going to go down. 8 to 10 days, they can predict that. Right? Now that's an industrial company that suddenly came out of the blue to make that kind of shift. Now, companies that didn't make the shift, we all know. I mean, these are the companies like Kodak. But it's more than that, right? We used an example all the time of the iPhone. The iPhone destroyed 27 or more business models. Like, where do you get your digital camera today? Do you actually buy, unless you're buying a digital SR, you're fine with your camera,
phone, yeah.
right? Where do you get your flashlight? It's on your phone, right? What do you do with the navigation device? It's on your phone, right? What do you have to do with payments now? It's on your phone, right? So all those things, that transformation that's actually happening in the market, these are business model shifts. It's not just technology.
Right. So you're also saying, therefore, that only those who understand the digital future, adapt rapidly, will have a chance of survival.
I think it requires that urgency of understanding this digital shift is happening, that understanding that even as an analog business, you too have to disrupt a digital business, and also knowing that beyond that, data is the foundation of every single digital business. You have to think about how you interact, how you bring that data to life, and ultimately get to insights.
Okay. One example of someone who you think could or should adapt to the digital world faster, maybe some product or service that you use as a customer.
This is an interesting question. If you've seen Dollar Shave Club, it's a great example. Like, who would have think like buying razor blades could be razor blades as a service?
Yeah.
Right? You get the subscription, you bring it together. So I think any of these companies that are traditionally analog companies, when we move from selling products and services to keeping a brand promise, you can do a lot with the physical products you have. So it's almost every business out there. Right? We've seen it from simple things like even Philips has a toothbrush that is now digitally enabled that tells how many times you've brushed. These are things that are happening because of sensors and analytics and bringing those patterns together.
Right. So the Indian IT industry is also playing in this market at one end of the spectrum, perhaps. What are the challenges that the industry also faces, the Indian IT industry, and what should it do if it has to remain at the competitive edge?
So here's the shift. We just did a report looking at the digital transformation services market. We sized it to be $100.7 billion by 2020. Indian IT services plays a part of this role, but when you look at this broader spectrum, it's design agencies, it's strategy consultants, it's product companies, it's the ability to do sustaining engineering. All these things are coming together. So one of the things that has to happen, like we've said in the past, definitely build your own intellectual property. Build IP, build products, but more importantly, build an ecosystem, a partner ecosystem where you're doing co-innovation and co-creation with your customers. Now here's the interesting thing. It's not about what partnerships they create. It's about what partnerships, who's a partner to the IT services firm. This is a shift, right? Everyone's out there trying to get certified on SAP, Microsoft, Oracle, whatever. Who's being certified on the IT services organization's platform? If they answer that question, those are the organizations that are going to succeed.
So what's the one exciting thing that you're looking out for or you think will happen in the next year or so that you're watching?
I am watching what's going on with privacy and this collaborative economy. People keep talking about the crowd. The crowd is the future for 2015. No, it's not. This is the year when the crowd suddenly discovers that they're the product, right? And this trading of privacy for convenience or information from convenience is going to get shifted when the crowd realizes their value. So I'm wanting to see when that breaking point where privacy, the right to be disconnected, comes together. So I think we're close, especially in some countries where, especially in the EU, where they're protecting that level of privacy.
And you're saying that we're at a tipping point and therefore something could tip over. So which means a fresh set of challenges for companies who are trying to exploit that.
Yes, and some regulatory opportunities that are going to happen to protect the citizens, but also companies who step up to the plate and say, I'm here to protect the customer's privacy. I think they're going to win.
Right. So last question. So what's the one device or set of devices that you wear or carry?
I want a transporter, but that is a different story. I need the transit time. The device that I still carry is an iPhone, right? I like the iPhone because, like I said, it's eliminated so many other things I would carry. But the interesting thing about the iPhone 6 Plus for me, I don't need an iPad anymore, or an iPad mini. I can actually do all my work on this device because of the screen size and also because of the processing power.
Right. Very well. Thank you so much for speaking with us.
Hey, thank you very much.